Hello, this is a cutout segment from the Easy Allies podcast. You can get full episodes of this show right here on this channel every Sunday morning. Or if you go to patreon.com/easyallies, you can get it 2 days early on Fridays. Thank you for watching and enjoy. You've been playing a ton of Monster Hunter.
Boy, have I.
You also played a ton of it before we got the review codes.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Look, I love Monster Hunter, but replaying the first 6 hours of this game 4 times, I hate Nata now. This little kid pisses me off. No, it's fun. You know, it's just like any Monster Hunter game where the beginning is kind of tutorial-y and they have like a long sections of you riding your sacred, while someone is talking, and you're like, this was
the slow walk kind of thing,
the slow walk,
right?
You know, and like that's awesome the first time when you're like looking around and learning the map and like, you know, and doing it, just having to replay the beginning of the game is whatever, but you know, occupational hazard. But once you get into the fights, this is a good game, dude. These fights are great. I mean, you know, it's more Monster Hunter. I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but it feels like the monsters, like the animation on these monsters, the telegraphing, like it's really good in this one, I find.
Yeah, you just kind of, you get it.
Everything is just fluid. It just feels like, yeah, this is a living thing, and I'm going to kill its ass. For reasons that are just kind of loosely, you know.
Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about it. Just don't think about it.
Get a cool weapon and go use it.
Yeah, exactly. But it has really cool... The story is neat. I'm not going to go into the story because I don't want to spoil you on anything. But it deals with these different like groups of people around this area, which is really neat. And each of the areas is kind of weather related or like natural phenomenon related, sort of. Like this is the group that has like a giant, not kiln, but like blacksmithing forge. There it is. And you know, their whole kind of society is based around the fire festival or whatever they call it, where there's the flame spring, and that like makes their forge able to make this really strong metal. But you know, classic Monster Hunter narrative, there's something messing all of the stuff up, and you got to look into it and see what's going on. Yeah, and then the story is neat, takes you to different biomes, different weather situations, really cool situations, like very cinematic moments in a lot of these fights, that you feel like a real badass coming through on your, your we've got a chocobo at home.
Yeah, right.
I was playing, there was a multiplayer session that somebody just like randomly popped in while I was hunting a monster. It was right when I was at the end of the hunt too, so I was like, "You're welcome." But they had colorized, because you can customize the colors of your sacred, and they had just made it all yellow.
They just totally made it.
And I was like, "Okay, I get it. I see you. I see you.
Nice.
That's straight up chocobo."
How is that something you can do fairly early, or you have to like?
Yeah,
earn
I think
all
you
the
unlock it
pigments,
in that fire forge area. It's
Okay.
like a couple hours in maybe, but
But I was just curious, like if that's kind of the thing where it's like with other parts of it, whether you need to earn the customization materials or anything.
I don't think you need to use any mats to change the colors on that. You don't to change the colors on your tents, because you can put up pop-up tents in all the regions. This is something different from the other games where, like in World, you went and you found a campsite, and then it was just, okay, you've got that campsite. That's like a fast travel place. In this one, there are way more campsites that you can find, but some of them are in risky or dangerous areas, and some of them are in safe areas. And so if you put one in a dangerous or risky area, there's a good chance a monster will destroy it, so that you'll have to either rebuild it or choose a different one.
Got it.
So that's kind of an
Will they
interesting
destroy
wrinkle.
it like while you're there at camp, or just like while you're away?
Anytime. Yeah,
Okay.
anytime.
Nice.
Because, the monsters are always kind of just wandering. And something that's different from this is that to do a field investigation or investigation or a field hunt or whatever, you can just leave from base camp. You don't have to, like, start a quest. You can start a quest, but you can just, like, walk out into the world and go wherever you want. So that's kind of cool. Once you get through the story, you get high rank stuff, and then weather and all that stuff starts changing, which is cool. I'm not clear yet if that changes like the materials or the like monster appearances or like monster parts or whatever. I'm still in like post credits, but like mid to early high rank, where I'm still getting like I still have quests and I'm still getting stuff, and like there are things that initially I wasn't allowed to talk about that they recently changed their review restrictions to let me talk about, because I think they mentioned them in a thing. But like there are things you can get in high rank, like tempered monster hunts, stuff like that, where it's like harder fights, but you can get from those new materials called they're called like artifacts or something, but you can get Artian weapons, which are like old school tech, and you can put parts together and make a weapon. Like not monster parts in the traditional way, but like you need this part can be the staff, this part can be the blade, this part can be the device, and then the elements you use in those determine what kind of, like, if it'll have ice or dragon or whatever, so that's kind of fun, and I've been using that, and right now it's the strongest weapon I have. Let me think. There's a lot of really cool, like, area designs and stuff. This one's interesting because there are some things that are kind of mainstays that are sort of different. Like, if it's in there, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in there, and I just haven't found it or, like, been introduced to it yet. But, like, there's not a palico that cooks you food so far. I just cook all by myself, which is different. And, like, that little weird little changes like that. But, yeah, it's a lot of NPCs that you deal with, each one in different areas. Like, she's the blacksmith, the blonde lady. Alma is your kind of like handler who gives you your quests and stuff. She's the one in the glasses. There are a lot of support hunters, which is cool. And there's a setting, a real quality of life setting that you can do. You can turn on to automatically SOS flare at begin quest.
Okay.
And that's really nice. And in the new single player online, whatever confusing name that the mode is, what that means is, the second the mission starts, it'll start trying to match you, or it'll put in these NPC support hunters into the fight. So you can have that turned on if you always want an NPCs, to come and help you.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing, right? It's like you need to be drawing aggro somebody.
Yeah, it depends on your weapon, but yeah, for sure. And like, I beat the whole game, like, I think I had already done credits before multiplayer was even, like, open. So you can easily play through with the NPC SOS flare stuff, and it works great. And I have played multiplayer as well, and that works great. I know that, like, some people are saying the engine is getting strained.
Oh, yeah, that's been a thing,
RE
right?
engine.
Like, Damiani, were you talking about that? Or is it somebody else?
I mean, I think we brought up on group stream, but I mean, it seems to be like what a lot of reviewers are saying, that it's pretty taxing.
I haven't watched sorry, Damiani, go ahead.
Oh, that was really it.
Oh, okay. I know that I saw Digital Foundry has a video out that I haven't watched yet, but I was going to watch it after today. I don't know. I didn't want it to, like, color my impressions or whatever, but, like, for my not money, because they said it's a code, but, like, I've been playing it on balanced. I started it in performance, and then I switched it to balanced because I wanted the graphics to be a little better. I'm playing on a base PS5, not a Pro, and like, as I always say, I'm a little less susceptible to like frame rate dips than maybe some of the other people, but I've not really noticed. It hasn't bothered me really playing on balanced, which is like a mix of performance and graphics. On performance mode, it was fine. It just looked like the LOD was a little lower. Distance stuff was even lower too. But like, I've been playing with the insect glaive, which is a pretty quick jumping around, moving all over the place weapon, and like it's been fine. The impacts feel really good. It is Monster Hunter is very complicated, and I've played most of the last several, all of the last several Monster Hunters, and even for me, there were a few things that were like, I was 10 hours in when I discovered like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense that you can do that, or like this button combo does that, so give yourself a little grace. Don't be like me and trying to rush through to get to the real stuff. Which, because I was rushing because I'd already played the beginning. But like, if you're new to Monster Hunter, like it is very complicated. It will take you a long time to like kind of get all the nuance and the details. Yeah. But you just it's really fun
for me because I've not put a lot of time into any Monster Hunters. But the times that I have dabbled in it, it's just like trying to like sort through the items.
Dude, yeah,
all the items and menus for that is
good
like,
lord,
a little crazy.
It's
a lot here.
I don't want to say that the item handling is needlessly complex, but the item handling is needlessly complex. Endemic life is fun. You can capture like little creatures and stuff, which is really fun. So far, I haven't found a place to like
Frogbirds.
Like player housing or whatever. I can't remember if that came in later in Monster Hunter World. Chat, maybe you remember. But I would love to have that in this player housing if that's a thing. Other than the camps and stuff. Because you can individually customize every single pop-up camp separately.
Oh,
and there was no batch customized, so you have to do them all separately, which is funny. But yeah, you meet a bunch of palicos, you meet some cool, I always want to say Lacayans, but that I don't think is right. Little fun beast guys that talk really funny. They're wonderful out in the forest, and they make you pay them like tribute to go through the forest,
Oh, okay.
They're little sweetie pies. The big thing in this one, because like talking about complicated mechanics, like in the previous one, I never exactly meshed with the wire bug system. Like the parts of it that I used and thought were cool like worked, but I knew there was more to it that I wasn't really taking advantage of. That mechanic is not here. You have a grapple that you can grab stuff off of while you're riding the Sacred, which is huge. That's something I didn't catch in the preview, that when I finally played it at home, I was like, oh my god, you don't have to like drive around and try to pick stuff up, because the bird will auto run,
right?
Which at first it takes some getting used to if you're trying to like move it, because you're like fighting against it. But it actually makes a lot of sense because in battles you'll be sharpening and healing and putting on powders and stuff during that time while the monster is moving. And also these environments are insanely complicated and very vertical, and having a bird that knows where it's going is very nice, because then you don't have to know. You can also carry 2 weapons, which is neat. You can switch on the bird by pushing one of the D-pad buttons, like down or something, or left, I think. One of them, which is very cool, because then you can kind of be like, all right, I'm going to start out with the hunting horn, buff my team, switch to the insect glaive, whatever. It's wonderful. A lot of the outfits look great. The Lalabarina outfit is super cool. It's like a goth dress. But the system in this one that's like the wire bug is the weak point system, which is really, really good. It makes sense. It's really easy to understand. I see everyone utilizing it. You hold L2, you see the red spot glowing. That's where you've been attacking it, so you've weakened it. It's very interactive. Like, you can target a spot specifically to be like, let's work on the leg, let's work on the head, whatever. And then you hit L2, you hit R1.
Environmental stuff.
Yeah, the environmental traps are really good. With the insect glaive, that's the command anyway. And then you hit the weak spot. What's really great for a charge weapon like the insect glaive, if you hit a weak spot, the bug will get all 3 charges, all 3 colors. So that's just super cool. Later in the fight, you can like charge your weapon up pretty much immediately instead of doing like different hunts and stuff or different like shooting the bug out and stuff. But there are nuanced controls for the insect glaive too. Like you can charge up the insect throwing and it'll go through the whole monster and get all the colors and whatever. Kind of more advanced control stuff that you kind of pick up as you go into the game. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like going whole hog crazy into Monster Hunter here. Anybody have any questions?
Oh, I mean, it's good to go over that stuff.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of people want to know, like, how is it different? Want to hear, like, what's different from it compared to, like, World and Rise. Yeah. And, especially because, like, this one was meant to follow up World. Mm-hmm. And so what are they doing to, like, build off of those years of doing that? And then, like, the expansion as well. The thing I'm most curious to hear about, because obviously I haven't put any real time into this, is the sentiment being shared by reviewers so far, because the game just is about to or just released.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Is the difficulty because there's the emphasis on story and making it easier for people to get into and giving newcomers like a better hook, apparently. But it comes at the expense of this is the easiest Monster Hunter ever made so far, including some reviewers did point out it is also the high rank stuff is easier than it's ever been. So it's not just the story. Yeah. Because usually getting up to that point is usually considered the tutorial by most people. Yeah. And then it becomes, all right, high rank, and then like all the expansion stuff is where it can be difficult. I mean, what are your thoughts on like that? And was that kind of your experience? And
for sure, yeah.
Do you really think it, do you see it, is it bad or good, or does it even matter to you?
It's weird because I totally, that totally tracks. Playing Insect Glaive, I'm usually not in the line of fire too much anyway. So like I'm Hunter rank like 31 or 32. I have like 20 or 30 hours in the game. I don't know specifically. And I have fainted twice in one fight, the same fight. Still won, but it was because I forgot to eat first and was out of potions entirely because I hadn't been picking up honey and stuff. So like I ran out of healing items and I didn't eat first. So I was at a huge disadvantage and I still won the fight. And like, otherwise I haven't lost at all. That's not to be like, oh, I'm the greatest, but it's like, this game does seem pretty easy. Like in the higher ranked stuff, fighting like tempered monsters or like, really late game stuff in World and in Rise, then we would be having feints and stuff like that. And so far, there's been no fight that has challenged in that way, really. Rathalos and Rathian, I had to like kind of like perk up and pay attention. There's a monster called Zawu or something like that. That's like a freaky octopus that I really had to be on my toes the first couple of times I fought it. But generally I would say it's fairly easy so far, but I'm still in like, even though I'm in high rank, like I don't have all the monsters again in high rank. I'm still like going back through them all. Because basically what happens is you play the game, you fight most of the monsters, you get credits, and then, it goes high rank where it's like the real fights and the real gear and like actual, Monster Hunter. The real Monster Hunter starts now, and then you kind of like, you have a lot of the monsters, but then you like re-find them and find new variants of them. There are a couple of cool variants in this that even if I'm allowed to talk about, I'm not going to talk about them because they're just kind of interesting narratively and gameplay wise. But those are fun wrinkles. But yeah, sorry, long answer for yeah, it's easy. But I'm hoping that later stuff will get harder again. Like, I don't know if I'm on pace or behind other reviewers, if they've gone all the way, like, way farther into Hunter or high rank, but, like, certainly pre-credits, this game is not hard at all.
I am curious, too, how much of that perception varies based on your experience, like, having played a ton, like, if you played a ton of World and Iceborne, then it's like, you know, like, they've changed up the weapons, but they haven't changed them up that much, right? Like,
the
it's
weapons are all the
basically
same.
the same set of weapons. So,
It's
like,
the same, yeah.
know how to use your weapons,
Yeah.
then you're kind of on an advantage just from the get-go.
It takes, if you play something like Insect Glaive, you know, it takes you 30 minutes to be like, what the fuck are all the buttons again? Like,
Right.
like, what? Because the control screen is, it makes sense once you're in it, but you're like, what?
And
How
like
do I
you're saying,
launch
if
my
the
bug?
tells
Like,
and stuff are easier. Like,
Yeah.
you can dodge when it's like, oh, okay. Like,
Well,
rather
and-
because there's like, you know, so many games when like you need to dodge or parry or whatever, and it's just like, no matter what you do, it's like you just can't seem to figure out like what that timing is.
yeah, that's an interesting point because the monsters are easier to read than you know, in a lot of big monster hunting games, including earlier Monster Hunters. And so maybe there is something to that where it's like they made the fidelity of the animations is too good. So because you know, like, you know, Insect Glaive is my main, so like that's my big frame of reference. And like I know how long I'm committed to an animation, and like if I'm committed to an animation and I see the monster start an animation, I'll
Right.
dodge and then just start attacking from the right, you know. And like it's really easy to read those telegraphs once you get used to each monster. And that's part of the joy of fighting a new monster, because you're like, I don't know what this freaky thing is about to do.
Right.
The squid thing especially was like, whoa, like, okay,
Yeah.
like your
And the
body
spider
just
ones too,
works
yeah.
different. Yeah, the spider one is really cool. Like, Lalabarina, she'll like look underneath herself and then attack from the rear. And if you don't notice that at first, you're like, oh shit, okay, like I just got stabbed by a giant stinger out of nowhere, you know. But she's like, no, she's telegraphing it. Yeah, it's interesting, and also I think that that's something that can easily be adjusted too. And you know, if and when there's an expansion, that's when things will really heat up, I think. And tempered monsters and other kinds of monsters late game, especially if they're affected by weather effects, I think I could see that stuff getting like really hairy later on. But yes, so far not been hard. But it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm just now starting to get into like multiple monster hunts. I've done a few field investigations where I hunted like 2 or 3 monsters in a row, just because like one showed up as I was fighting another one, you know. And like those are interesting because you start kind of getting like your meal is wearing off, you're running low on stuff. Like
Right.
those are cool for a different reason. But like, yeah, it's good. I don't know. I like it. Like obviously it's got maybe some frame rate engine issues and difficulty stuff that they can iron out, but I really think that they've done a great job. And it does feel like a return to kind of the kind of prestige class of World. There are things that I'm missing, like the big Palico cooking thing and like player housing stuff, but like all that stuff is maybe in the game and I just haven't gotten to it yet. Because shockingly, they keep introducing new stuff to me. My Palico, like, once you hit high rank, the Palico is like, hey, I had an idea for a hunter's tool. Like, do this mission and we'll try it, you know, and then you get, like, a thing.
Got it.
And, you know, that's post-credits. So it's like, you don't even get to the real gear until you've had credits, you know? So it's an interesting kind of format for a game where you don't actually start playing it until 6 or 8 or whatever hours into it. Obviously you play the whole time, but yeah, Monster Hunter's sick as hell, and we're gonna try to do hunts.
Yeah. Fever literally just got back, so.
He's back?
Yeah. He
Okay.
said he's gonna sleep for 2 days.
Yeah, I bet. Anything else before I disappear again?
That was good stuff.
Damiani needs to put some more time in there too. So
Yeah. I mean, long
there will
story
be more
short,
Monster Hunter, one way or another.
I love it. So, yeah. And I hope everybody else likes it too.
Nice.